Hey everyone, my name is Edgar. I'm Senior Product Manager with Amazon Connect. I'm joined by Alex Miles and Austin Tarkov from the Litigation Practice Group. I'm really excited to share more about our recent launch of Amazon Connect cases and how LPG is using it today to improve their workspace. Before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about today's demanding customer experience. Whether it's chat, voice, social, or SMS, they want to be able to contact you at any hour of the day, at any time that's convenient for them. They also want self-service options. They really want to solve problems on their own, and they want to be able to do it on their own schedule. They want to be able to have the power in their hands to solve the problem they have, whether it's changing a flight reservation, whether it's changing a service request. They want to have the power and avoid contacting you if it's possible. But sometimes we know that customers have to contact your contact center, and when they do, they want a frictionless experience. They don't want to provide information they expect you already have. They don't want to be put on hold, of course. And of course, they don't want to be switched between and transferred between departments. We all know that causes frustration for us every day. I'm going to quickly talk about Amazon Connect today, which a lot of folks in this room may already know. But Amazon Connect, an omni-channel center that was launched in 2017. There's so much to highlight about Amazon Connect, but I'll just hit on a few points that I think are really valuable to anyone just learning about Connect. First, as similar to our AWS ecosystem, we allow social configuration and folks to try on Amazon Connect in minutes. You can use the AWS console to spin up a Connect instance and start running trials, start having agents on your contact center in a matter of minutes. We also have a pay-as-you-go pricing model. So in the contact center, instead of paying by seat or instead of paying licenses, you have the ability to only pay for what you consume. Now, we've heard great feedback on this. Whether it's chats, calls, tasks, or any of our agent applications, you only pay for what you consume across the board. And then I'll hit quickly on automation. Automation has a really strong power with Connect to delight in the agent experience and to improve the overall experience for customers. We really like to take the guesswork out and avoid as many manual touch points as possible. So whether that's using contact flows or the IVR in Connect, we really want to route problems to your agents with as much information as possible. Just to quickly highlight on the customers that we have today, we have great customers like Delta, New York Times, and Dow Jones, and we handle around 10 million interactions or contacts per day, distributed around different channels, as I mentioned, voice, chat, or even task. We're doing so much across the board that I would love to share with you today, but I'll just highlight some quick ones that I think are really worthwhile for this session. We have different channel. We're omni-channel, and we're continuing to expand. We just recently launched our GA communications product, which we're really excited to also announce this week on Monday. We focus on automation as well. We continue to improve the contact flows and the IVR experience in order for your agents to have the information that they need up front. And then one I'm really excited about is the agent experience. We've invested over the last couple of years into a unified agent application for all of our Connect services. So for example, we have customer profiles, wisdom, and cases, which I'm excited to talk about today. I'd like to welcome Alex Miles on stage.
Thank you, Edgar, for that kind introduction. And also thank you to AWS for inviting us onto their stage. So what does litigation practice do? We have a really simple objective for our clients. We want to make them be able to live a debt-free life. And as our job to do that, we have multiple methods to get there. Sometimes we'll be giving general legal counsel. Other times we'll be providing sort of general financial advice. And other times we'll go to court to protect our clients there. Having all these different options isn't necessarily the easiest way to do it. We could have a really linear customer journey with just one way of getting through to resolve their issues. But we take the effort to make sure that we have the best solution for our client. That provides issues, and I want to talk about a little bit how we can resolve having a complex customer journey for our clients. I want to now give you a little bit of history about where we came from as a company. We started in 2018, and we've had a really good problem to solve for. We've had really fast exponential growth. Just to put some numbers to that, in our first year of business in 2018, we enrolled 9,000 client depths into our program. In the last year, we enrolled just over 320,000. And this year, we're now at 486,000 and projected to do 1 million by the end of the year. And as a small company, we started off with just around 5 people sitting in an office above a preschool. And we were doing everything manually. We're sitting on the floor, sealing envelopes by hand. And obviously, as we grew, we realized that we had to solve these issues and be able to deliver for our clients on a service perspective. So we automated our outgoing mail, our incoming mail, and we really sort of let customer experience sort of go to the back seat while we're trying to deliver our core services to our clients. Now, we've actually done a lot of that work, and we can scale for our service delivery. Now we want to make sure that our service for our clients is just as good as the customer experience. We want to make sure that those two things are together. And what that looks like for us is to make sure that clients, when they call into us, we're anticipating their needs, or giving them answers as soon as they get connected. And even before they connect to an agent, we want to make sure that they can see some answers and they can get that issue resolved. And when they do connect, the agent has the visibility into everything that's going on into their program. They can clearly see what the next step is and move their case forward. So let's just focus in on sort of the actual issues that we're facing for our clients and what that looks like. Deneen, she has called in several times to get a question about a legal matter. She hasn't received a call back, and we did that, and the reason why that root cause of that problem is that we've had to gatekeep some of the answers from our legal reps, because we don't ever want to be in a position where a client is given legal advice from an agent. We want to make sure there's a firewall there. And likewise, we don't want to have an agent have to give legal advice to a client. It's not comfortable for them. They don't want to be in that position. If we can organize our data better, build down that wall a little bit so they can get information that they need to, that's better for everyone, and they can get their issues resolved faster than usual. Brian is another example of a common issue we have. He's got a question about a legal matter, and he just wants to know what his next step is. At the moment, that's really hard for an agent to do. When they connect, they have multiple touch points that they need to get through to get a really simple answer of what's going on in their program. And, being able to organize that information in one place is really powerful for our agents, and our clients really feel the benefit too when they can get an answer quickly. David, again, he's someone that wants to speak to an attorney. I personally never want to speak to a lawyer, and fortunately, David doesn't really need to speak to one either. If we can provide the information for our clients, which has all that, they just need to know if they received the document, whether the court summons date is. Providing that information with them means that they don't need to speak to a lawyer because they feel that their needs to be met by the agent. I hope you got a broad sense of some of the issues we're facing, and I want to pass you over to Austin, who's the person who has to solve all those problems. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the introduction, Alex. So like Alex illustrated, we went over some broad issues we were facing as a company. And I want to go ahead and zero in on one particular issue we are having problems with and how we utilize Amazon Connect cases in order to combat it. Before I do that, I'll give some context on kind of what our agents face on a daily basis while working with us. So normally when a customer calls in to our customer service line, they're usually getting some pretty basic questions that our agents are prepared for. These are usually inquiries like, when is my next payment due? Or specific questions like, what do I do if my creditors keep harassing me and calling me? Or maybe they just want like a basic update on the status of one of the programs they're enrolled in with us. These are generally pretty easy questions. Our agents are trained to handle it. And for the most part, they do pretty well, to give them credit. This all kind of falls apart, though, when we get one particular type of call, and that call is whenever a customer calls in and they want a status update on their either pending summons or lawsuits that they have with us. The reason this is an issue for us is kind of due to the way that we have our information set up initially. As you can see up there, we didn't have a really good centralized issue management for this particular problem. This left our call center agents feeling very uncomfortable when they got these types of calls. Reason being that All of that information regarding their pending summons, their pending lawsuits or anything like that, that's totally dispersed and scattered around various third-party systems that we utilize. Just the nature of the inquiry. We have a bunch of outside attorneys that we have to hire sometimes. They put in our information in a bunch of different systems. It's just difficult to kind of consolidate that down for us. We actually did some measurements, and we found that in order for one of our customer service agents to give a detailed update about a status of one of their summons or lawsuits, they actually have to go through 6 to 7 different touch points just to find all of that basic information. When we translated that into hold time, actually like going in, clicking in, and checking everything, we translated that hold time into about 6 to up to 10 minutes of the client just being on hold while the agents are gathering all that information. As you can see, very inefficient and very complex for our agents. It's disorganized. These issues are just a nightmare. Another thing that I want to illustrate for this is that we're unable to calculate our first call resolution rate, like at all for these types of calls. We honestly don't know if they're doing well first call resolutioning or not. They could be good, could be bad, but due to the previous issues that I was talking about, we weren't exactly hopeful. All of these are culminating down into both low customer satisfaction and low agent satisfaction. So when we heard about a potential solution in the form of Amazon Connect cases, which would allow all that information to be consolidated down into a single point of truth, specifically for our agents already utilizing Amazon Connect, we were very intrigued. So this is kind of how we set it up on the back end. I can kind of walk you through it. First, I want to go ahead and illustrate how when we were thinking about implementing this solution, we really wanted to make sure that we were doing it as seamlessly and unintrusively as possible. We do work with attorneys pretty closely, and I don't know if anybody's had attorneys as coworkers before, but they are they're very proud of the systems that they already use, and sometimes the buy-in can be a little bit difficult. So we wanted to set this up so that it's kind of unintrusive for them. The way that we did it is that we utilized Amazon Connect Case's robust out-of-the-box API documentation, which basically allowed us to do all of this automatically, automated. This is kind of how we set it up here. As you can see, this process first starts whenever one of our customers uploads a document to one of our third-party systems. We then ping that document as a summons type document, gets categorized that way. And as soon as that happens, that triggers an API call to automatically create an Amazon Connect case. From there, we already have that link established between the customer's profile, their case, and their whatever we have in our third-party systems. And so that means, as you can see, any change that we make on one of those third-party systems will trigger an API call to automatically update their Amazon Connect case, which basically totally achieved a consolidation of all the information down just into that agent-facing UI. And in terms of how this looks like for our agents, we're going to get a little bit more specific here. So this is kind of like an example we have over here. We have a client that's calling in, just want an update on their lawsuit like I was describing. They give us a reference number, and honestly, they don't even really need to give us a reference number. One of the advantages of Amazon Connect cases is that it's tied to Amazon Connect customer profiles, so as soon as they call in, it recognizes that, it automatically pulls it up. So one less touch point. And we can see that basically it pulls the information that we have available for them. For this particular case, we see that we have a hearing scheduled for this client on June 21st. We have their attorney assigned to them, it's Tony Smith. And we know that the next step to help this client is that we're going to contact them 2 days prior to talk to them about their hearing. And over on the right, we can kind of see that unified customer connection here with all the things that we have available to them. So you can see that they have their customer profile, Jane Doe. We have the Amazon Connect case that automatically populates, and any of the tasks that we need to, either we've already completed or they're pending, we need to communicate that with the client, it's going to be there as well. So once we implemented this, we saw some pretty immediate end results. A lot of it was in terms of like agent empowerment and agent satisfaction within that call. Remember, this particular type of call was something that our agents honestly dreaded. They were crossing their fingers. They were hoping whenever they got an inbound call, please don't be calling about an update about their summons because it's a total nightmare, right? But now, all that information is consolidated down. It just pops right up for them. It's turned into one of maybe the easiest call that they can get. It's just reiterating whatever's in front of them. Again, the empowerment thing, and Believe it or not, we actually have first call resolution data for the first time for these calls, and now that we have it in our hands, it's actually not as bad as we thought it was going to be. And the most important part about all of this, customer satisfaction across all these touch points. And this is kind of a view of what this looks like internally. This is a prototype of what we were doing initially. The one that we're using live, this template that we're using, is a bit more robust and a bit more refined than what we have right here. But the purpose of this is to kind of give you guys an idea of what it looks like from an agent's perspective, the fields that you can go ahead and implement, the options and dispositioning that you can do revolving it. We can kind of go into more detail. You can see there's an acronym here. It's FDCPA. That's kind of just like internal lingo for us about like pending lawsuits or something like that. And you can see check boxes. We have information regarding when we receive these leads, how we receive them, the steps that we're going to take. And again, all of this stuff is automatically updated and populated via all those API calls we have set up. And moving on, basically we just switched over to that left tab. I don't know if you saw that, but the point of this slide is to kind of show you guys how it's all kind of like a unified customer experience, right? We have the customer profile with all the information that they might need in order to identify the client and gather information about it. And all they have to do is that one touch point over there, just click over to Remington S legal case, and they have all their case information there. So we were pretty happy about this. It cut down that hold time from 6 to 10 minutes to gather that information. It cut it all the way down to 0. There were no hold times anymore. Our agent satisfaction for these calls were great, and basically as soon as we implemented and we saw the end results, we really wanted to expand this out into as many opportunities as we could. So leveraging the Connect Cases API flows to support additional use cases. Basically, the next immediate thing that we want to extrapolate this out to is the refund process. So internally, the refund process and the summon/lawsuit process, they're kind of intertwined, or I guess they just kind of have like a lot of parallels between them in that basically all the information to provide to the clients if they're calling in are kind of scattered around various third-party systems. So again, a great way to consolidate that down. And after seeing how seamlessly it was integrated and how easy it is for our agents to access it, we're also thinking about the idea of allowing our agents more flexibility and more interface with the actual Connect cases themselves. So like I mentioned, everything's automatic right now. It kind of passively collects data and spits it out for them. But now we're thinking about actually utilizing the functionality of allowing agents to create these tasks, updating the fields directly instead of it happening all in the background. And then last thing I want to touch on is onboarding the new agents into Connect cases. So right now, it was kind of like a trial run that we're expanding out slowly. We have 15 agents that were using it throughout June. But after seeing the success about it, we're very comfortable expanding it out to 150 agents by the end of June. So that's kind of what it looks like on LPG's end. I'm going to go ahead and hand it back off to Edgar to finish up and go into.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex and Austin. Quick question before we start the next part. How many of you were in the room for the last session? Okay, great. Some new information for you folks. So I'm excited today to officially launch Amazon Connect Cases, which went into preview this past Monday. Amazon Connect Cases is built into the Connect ecosystem. It is meant to reduce the average number of touch points for agents, but also improve the experience for the end customer. We, of course, have self-service onboarding to get started in minutes through the AWS console, and we also have a lot of automation that we build into the product. Now, we really wanted to harness the power of automation so that your agents are not burdened with manual data collection. So now think of when your agents receive a contact, whether it's a chat or a call. A lot of the information that is collected through the call can be created to the case and passed to the case, so the agent really only focuses on solving the actual problem. Of course, the IVR and chatbots can also feed information into the case. So essentially, you're having your agent pick up the phone or pick up the chat and start resolution right away. You can, of course, view the case history in the activity log, which I'll show in just a minute, so you can see how a case progresses from start to finish. And harnessing the power of Connect Task is really powerful within cases. Think of cases as a issue, whether it's simple or complex, and think of the tasks as different actions needed to be taken on that case, right? We all know that some cases may require multiple agents, multiple departments, multiple people involved, and tasks really allow you to organize and make sure that you understand how a case can progress from start to finish. Now, I want to spend a couple of minutes on the UI here, but more importantly, focus on the agent experience. Before cases, a lot of our customers would use Amazon Connect for telephony or chats, but then go to use other products or other systems to look at customer data or to look at the case's information, right? Think of simply an agent opening up many different tabs. With Amazon Connect, we really want to bring this entire experience in-house into a single application, not only so that agents can have a better experience, but that customers can get their problems resolved faster. With cases, let's talk about a flow here. You're going to have a customer contact. Here we're going to have a phone call. The customer has contacted, and the IVR and the contact flows has detected who that customer is, and the customer profiles have been automatically associated. When the agent picks up the call, they'll go to the case tab, and they'll automatically see the cases that are open or closed for this current customer. So again, the agent doesn't really have to navigate different tools, have to go navigate what the problem is about, have to navigate what problems are for this exact customer. They see it here in chronological order, the exact cases that this customer's calling about. So here you may see a couple of cases in the search page. Of course, the agent has the ability to get out of the filter, or the filter that by default shows the customer cases, and can see all cases on the platform. So let's go into a case and see what it looks like. Here's the case details page, which contains quite a lot of information that I'll walk you through now. Of course, we have different fields as part of each case, which are incorporated into templates, which I'll get on in just a minute around how to create your fields and your templates. We will start with the title and the case details here. You, of course, have case statuses. Every case will have an open or closed status, pretty standard, and you'll be able to add any statuses you want to your case status field. Like I said, you can create tasks, which I'll show in just a minute, and you can edit any open case. If a case is closed for any reason, let's say customer calls, they're satisfied during the call, and agent closes the case won't be editable. But let's say for whatever reason the customer calls back and says, hey, actually that wasn't solved, I need additional help, agent can just reopen the case and start editing and working with the fields. You have summary data in different fields in the top section of the case details page. And below you'll see a timeline view. So now this is an aggregate view of all the different actions that were taken on the case. Whether those are different contacts that were associated to the case, tasks that were assigned to a case, or comments left by the agents. We'll spend a minute here on tasks, because I think the power of tasks is really important to make cases that much more meaningful for agents. Let me give you an example similar to what the LPG group just said. Let's say you have a legal matter, or let's say you have a claim for a defective car, or maybe you're in a car crash, right? All of these different cases require multiple steps by multiple people. Now I'm going to talk about the experience of what this looks like manually, but again, you can harness the power of Connect automation through contact flows so that you can do this automatically on the back end. An agent really doesn't have to click anything. So let's say this is a claim for windshield damage, and the agent has created the first task. Let's go ahead and say there's two different tasks. Maybe initial review, assess the damages, and maybe the last task is to process the refund to make sure that the customer is made right and the refund is paid, or the damages are paid, right? Again, as an agent, I'm going to create the task manually. I can describe the task with a title, description, and when I need this task to be completed by. So I can assign it to a queue. You can harness the power of queues, or you can assign it to an individual agent. If your workflows say you want to assign it to an individual person, you can do that with tasks as well. But now, let's think about automation. Let's say the call comes in, the contact flows detect it's a claim, it's an insurance claim. And let's say, based on the template, you say, hey, it's a claim. you can trigger these actions to be automatically created, and these tasks can get automatically created. So imagine agent picks up the phone, has collected all this information from the customer, and the agent can now tell the customer, okay, I see you've called about a windshield damage. These are the different tasks that got created. This is when you can expect resolution, and this is when we'll reach back out to you. So now, as a customer, you really don't want to be on the phone type in all this information. Like, that's really frustrating, right? Where you say, give me a second to get all this information in the system. How awesome would it be if the agent, when they pick up, already has the actions in next step? They may not be able to resolve the problem right then and there, but they know exactly what needs to happen. And it's a pleasant experience as an end customer. So how do contact center managers create cases or decide what information you need, right? You could do this based off the power of case fields and case templates. Think of fields as simply data points that you're going to collect on each case, and think of templates as a grouping of case fields. Like I said here, this will be a vehicle damage example. And as a contact center manager, you have the ability to add or remove any field you want, with the exception of two system fields, which is date time created and date time updated. And you have the ability to move fields up and down, rearrange the order, and decide exactly what data points you want in which templates. You can, of course, make fields required. You can, of course, remove fields from templates, and you can reuse fields across as many different templates as you want. So just to talk about kind of next steps or how this all comes together, right? As you've heard before, Amazon Connect Cases is available through the self-service model, and you can go in and try cases today. You really don't need anybody to hold your hand. You can start in minutes. But if for whatever reason you and your company need some help or need some advice on how to get started, we have a breadth of resources to really help you kickstart your journey with Amazon Connect Cases. We have Amazon AWS professional services who can help you from start to finish, understand your problem statements, and think about solutions that are right for you and your organization. We have our AWS support ecosystem. Regardless of the size of your company, our AWS support team is standing by to make sure you get the most out of Amazon Connect and Amazon Connect Cases. We also have our partners, which I can't speak highly enough, across the board, who are helping customers around the world make sure they're getting the best use case out of Amazon Connect. So to quickly talk about some of these partners today, I won't have enough time to cover everyone, but I just want to shout out some of the partners that we have that focus on integrations, focus on agent applications as well, that have their own interface and their own customizable views. Partners like Local Measure, Accenture, and Voice Foundry have really been instrumental to making sure that Amazon Connect grows and is adapting for customers' use cases. And of course, we have ISV partners like Salesforce, Zendesk, and Pega that are really powerful and really important to us as we grow our organization. So just to wrap it up today, there's a couple of resources, of course. I'm sure everybody's excited to go home and include the conference. But Amazon Connect Cases is available through our console. You can learn more on the Connect website. Hopefully you can take a picture here and go visit us. I do want to give us a quick shout out to the documentation. We really work on the documentation and really want to give you and your team kind of the tools and options to get started really with minimal hand-holding. And you can find product documentation, API documentation, case event streams, and SDK documentation, all publicly available on the AWS documentation website. Okay, thanks folks for attending the conference. Thanks for attending our session. Thanks to Alex and Austin.